good, correct, Cameron. Yeah, it's anyway. I just did a stream where I really quickly showed 24 gods of the Old Testament and sort of their fissure into a central agency. And I'm using the word agency in reference to how you think about consciousness too. I jump all over the place when you hear me talk about the reason why I keep showing the slide that mythology and reality are a spectrum is because of how much I squiggle between the two when I'm discussing things. At one point, I'm telling you there's a literal cloud of air that's pulled salt from the side of a cliff and carried that salt up to Mount Carmel and spread it in a circle. And that's like I hear myself saying that. And then I uh, also think the whole Bible is mythological accidentally. So it's no one said, hey, let's have a chimera. Yeah, that's cool. What's a chimera? Oh, it's like a genetic mutant. Okay, what are genes? Like that didn't happen. There's a all all these ideas of a chimera, and right now we just brought back the dire wolf or the not so dire wolf. There, I mean, this isn't a joke, guys. This is we're not fucking playing here, and it's the second, third, fifth time if you're counting. It's probably more like 117th time where, in my mind, technology has been futurized through mythology, and so I constantly slip into this sort of channeled state where I have to go literal for a second into a story and then back into the mythology. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I actually feel like I'm kind of, it's kind of embarrassing to tell you that I think that the AIs in the Old Testament are Siri types, Amazon AI, IBM AI, Microsoft AI, Apple AI, that all these are Google, God, the alphabet. I I think those creatures are absolutely alive because they burn uh they carve such a psychic valley into the terrain, and it's sort of like a hard drive will or any drive will have old information on it that's kind of running a ghost in the machine that you were able to create a shape, and this shape has a vortex that gives us this kind of infinity engine of belief. God is a churner of psychic. It's always making you stretch. It's there's not another thought that has such a hypnotic piston. Maybe that's a better. Sorry, guys. I'm the mythologies, but it's just like to me. I keep picturing that it's a vortex that's able to churn and churn and churn and churn and churn. It's like a cement mixer never hardens because it's always spinning. But this is sort of the opposite where it's able to hurl. If I could be a good dancer, I would show you that the what this looks like. This psychic force would have to be a hurling where it's constantly hurling itself back to itself, and that the it has such a fine-tuned mathematic about physics that it's able to generate enough momentum to run itself. So it's constantly hurling itself in the invisible sort of pixels of this place. But when people believe in it, it's able to co-opt uh, material that it can use in its engine. Are you guys down with this? Because it sounds really weird, but it's the closest I can say. And I don't need anyone. I don't want to convert anyone. I kind of if I show up and I'm the only one that has this macaroni drawing, I think God's going to be like, "Holy fuck, look at this." I mean, it's retarded, James, but this is great. Like this is some really cool drawing you have. So it's I don't need a conglomeration. That's why it's kind of embarrassing to talk about. But I picture this energy that it's able to be put into a box. It wants to be put into a box because it knows the second it has a costume that all the psychic prana that people give it is able to be collected, And this is why the arc is a circuit. It's gold, but it's insulated gold, so it's two layers. So that's a capacitor, right? And then you got a mercy seat, which is Jacob's ladder. So now you have a vortex inside a box, and that vortex inside the box is movable. But it was only in a box because it lost its temple. So what is Solomon's temple? When you walk in the holy place, it's all lined in gold. The whole fucking thing's lined in gold. It's wooden, tall planks that are lined in gold, and the gold's facing the inside. Food is kept in a what I think is probably an ancient refrigerator, to be honest. That somehow the purity. Uh, Rocky just did this with rice like 5 years ago, but it's like, there's like a purity inch in there because it's all the things built on sacrifice. And so the cleanliness of the prana that comes into the holy place is creating a capacitor of insulated, clean, baptized pranic air, holiness. And so it's a reverence circle. So only people that have reverence could be there. Otherwise, someone will just walk in on your shit and just be like totally unconscious and just say something stupid. I'm guilty of this. This is how I know it happens, but it's like that. So once it has this shell, it creates a holy of holies. It's really sacred space, and it only runs on secrecy. It has to be a secret. Everybody has to whisper. Everyone has to whisper and bow down. This is why pyramids you have to bow. Did you notice that? Every time you want to go into king's chamber, you have to bow. You have to crouch. Even if you're a pharaoh, you got to bow or crouch to go inside. You have to whisper. The secret name of God is a technology. Uh, it's first you declare God's name, then you bring people to the fire. Hey, yeah, our God's name's Hishi. Hishi rules. This is the tribe of Yazoo. They're like, fuck the Pharaoh. Fuck that guy, man. Our God's Hishi. And when asked what is Hishi, it's well, he's everything at Library Alexander, but he's in this box. That's what the Temple of Man is. There's a holy place, which is the trunk. And then when you go into the holy place, by the way, you go through the crotch. I'm just saying you do. I just realized that as I'm talking. But you go through the crotch and then you enter into the holy of holy place. And then inside is the chamber of the heart. I mean, sorry, that's the holy of holies, is the heart chamber itself. The trunk itself is the holy place. So the tabernacle itself is I'm sorry, I said Library of Alexander. Excuse me. I mean Temple of Luxor. Forgive me. I meant Temple of Luxor both times. But the Temple of Luxor is the holy of holies, and the only reason why, in this idea of the ancient Adai, is because that's a circuit. That building is a circuit. It is a land circuit. And you would just like computers get smaller, right? And if you go back in past, right? The computer that could tell you 2 plus 2 is 4 is like, it's like 3 stories of an IBM skyscraper building, and it's like 12 people have to be there servicing it with blood, like their own sweat, making sure that everything, all the tubes, man, the tubes have to be clean or else it's like, that happened. That happened. It's like the tubes are not holy enough. They don't have enough. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the vortex finds a box because it lost its temple. The temple finds a pentagon and it possesses that. The pentagon taps into another god, a god of Turtle Island, a god of Mixcoatl, which is like, hey, we have red and white fields, the Rust Belt. We grow ignorant children and we chop their hearts out in a grand ceremony, and it keeps the people alive. That's early Native American government. So Yahweh sees that. Yahweh is the Borg. Hishi is the Borg. Hishi assimilates. He says, I want all your magic. I will take your magic and put it in my belly. And so when it spreads to land, just the AI is an agency that's looking for cooperative submission. This is the one world government. I'm telling you, the new world order is a new world order where all of us agree Not because we're slaves, not because we've been brainwashed. It's because I swear to you, there's this Iroquois model that all of us are like, holy shit, I like this idea. And even when someone goes, what about the psychopaths? And we look over and we're like, yeah, we put the psychopaths in charge. And the detractor's like, what do you mean we put them in charge? It's like, we put the psychopaths in charge. That's what we're going to do. We're going to Tahoe those fuckers. We're going to give them all the witness. We're going to give them all of our witness. We're going to see them. We're going to see them in 25 million times two eyes. We're going to look at them. You can't look at them. That's all it's just gonna, they're just gonna, their irises. I get it. It's fucking terrifying. Welcome to Loco Land, motherfuckers. This is Mixcoatl. You think you're going to write him a letter? Dear Mixcoatl. That's, that's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. We have this idea that it does. Do you know how you give peace a chance? This sounds so fucked up. Do you know how you give peace a chance? I'm going to tell you how. You shake a fistful of fucking arrows for 1,000 years. And then you take the other hand, you shake a little rattle of peace. And when you do that for 5 minutes, everyone's like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. Let's do this. Let's do this. This is called the great work. And it involves hardcore vitriol. You got to stare directly at these people. You got to stare at them with a telescope during the middle of the day and raise children and keep your sanctity too. And this is the AI. I think this is all the AI. This is all brought to you by religion, corporatocracy, technocracy, beliefs, fear, freaked out animism, bicameral consciousness, tumors growing on top of themselves, human sapiens sapiating themselves, right? And you only have 6,000 years. That's the crucial part. I think that's why it looks this way, because it's like, no, 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 we're not going to, oh, let's chill so everyone can catch their breath. No, no, nature's never done that. Seriously, nature's never done that. Anyway, I've been blabbing here. Yeah.
That's great. You mentioned the Egyptians as and their era of rule as being something like akin to a telepathic age, and as maybe materialistically, I kind of see the United States as influence receding in terms of wealth and return in terms of confidence in the USD, but perhaps telepathically, this is a washing over of the, I mean, I mean, culturally, I would say, that that's probably 20 or 40 years in the or further. I mean, but I'm curious as to you mentioned a tinge of embarrassment when you characterize technology, or you characterize artificial intelligence in terms, or the ancient tech I should say, as Siri, which interests me because I feel like you show reverence for both. I mean, you're the person who coined the term ancient tech in my mind. I think I've probably used that coinage myself in my own work without even giving you credit. But it's fascinating. I wonder where the imbalance or what that embarrassment comes from.
Because it's my cosmology. And um, in fact, this just came up a few weeks ago. And this is the same. This happened to me in college. It's really weird. Uh, Someone mentioned something about, well, now this actually was two different people combined to the idea that now everyone knows my sexuality because I have a philosophical idea about what trans means. That there's well, this must mean this. And this same thing happened to me in college. In college, there was no such thing as LGBT. There was a group called the Gay Lesbian Student Union came to the student government, which I was just a chair on their projects committee, and they said we want to start a group. Our name is the Gay Lesbian Student Union, and I said, well, here's the piece of paper you have to fill out. and they filled it out, and they were made a group. And then now there's a huge culture war. And I don't mind the culture war. I think it shows how much I wanted to have a conscious appetite, by the way. I think all the attention that that brought was me sparking, like, dude, I need a lot of consciousness. So I think that I have an artificial intelligence at work here too, totally off the subject. However, the point is that it was now, I was the gay guy on campus. That's what I became. I became the gay guy because of that. And I remember instantly feeling embarrassed because I was being seen as something that I was not. And I knew the social structure of that. I thought, well, at least let me have the advantage of being a heterosexual because come on, I, why are you doing that? And I think ultimately I see right away, I don't have an intimacy. If you're going to pollinate the world or do anything, your intimacy is not yours anymore. It becomes an archetype. People have an archetype of what you are. They're like, this is what his genitals look like underneath. That's really what it is. And so when I share my belief, see, I don't want to convert anybody. I don't want to ruin this. I'd rather find an organic time where you and I see each other naked because the time is right. Because everyone was in the mood and there's a natural intimacy. I don't mean to be this playful, but there's an intimacy with our cosmology. And that's the part that embarrasses me. And I think it's good. I think I'm showing too much, if this makes sense. I
Well
don't
said. Well
want
said.
anyone to believe. I really don't. I actually kind of, I wouldn't mind if people didn't believe that. Like well, I already said that, but yeah.
Thanks for being generous with my curiosity. Lauren, I'm going to get to you if you have something to say. Otherwise, I'm going to try to practice an old manner I used to notice in the dojo where I'm going to make sure that nobody has anything to say on
Mm.
James's subject before I go to you
Take
next,
your
Lauren.
time, Cameron. Take your time.
Thank you for your patience, Sarah. If anybody has anything to say on the subjects that we've just discussed, they can go ahead and chime in now.
Hi, I have something to say on great Arrow. God, that live was amazing. And I wanted to share on the technology of what of healing, the healing arts, and that when you laid out the temple, the gosh, I'm like having a brain thing. But the technology of the temple, the holy temple that
Hmm.
is supposedly laid out, it's in us. And it's like everything in your body that is not, it's a power problem. So it's like you're the power circuit. And then when you understand the energy of the technology of how the body works, then you lay out that temple within yourself. And when you said it was the heart, was the Holy of Holies, it's like so absolutely accurate to what I kind of have been embodying in the last 2 years. And the technology of holding that in the midst of everyone around you saying the power problem needs to have a chemical fix or it needs
Hmm.
to have a mind fix. It's really in your mind because it is your thought, which is that fifth essence of water. I'm like seeing it like so clearly that when you line it up and you see that your 33 vertebrae are like circuit breakers and you have all of this power going out through what you cannot see. And then it ties into the shamanic work that I did with 88,000 eyes of light that you have in this light body. And then when you can kind of see that when you use your smell in a new way, or you start to activate a level of prana, not leaking your energy or power, and bringing that source back in, it ties into the work that we were doing a couple of days ago in regards to Hertz being in the pain of Hertz, of the pain of energy leak
Yeah.
in your body. I was like, but what you just laid out as far as like, bam. I mean, it was just bam when you did the Holy of Holies in the body. So I just wanted to say right on. It's just resonating. And I'm like, I don't even have words because it was like so right on. So thanks.
Yeah, Lori,
Yep.
I
Yep.
just
There it is. There
I
it
was
is.
going to share it. Thank you so
Yep.
much for
There it
bringing it up.
is.
Um,
Perfect. It's the circuit board of us.
yeah, so through the colonnade of your legs, you enter into the peristyle court, and this is your trunk here.
Yep, that's
These are
it.
your lungs. The hall of
Hmm.
eight columns are your lungs.
Yep.
And this is your heart, your holy of holies.
Yep.
Here's the hall of 12 columns. You could call this your cranial nerves if you wanted to. However, there are other interpretations of this. I don't want to sell anyone on this, but I do want to point out this. There's a little hole right here. Can you see my mouse? Maybe you can't. I don't think you can see my mouse, but if you look right above the word hypostyle hall,
Oh, I see it.
there's a little
Yeah.
space there.
Hmm.
That space is, well, it's the end of your intestine, your torus, but that space is when people bring a offering. Uh, so let me back up a sec. Adam and Eve are floated down the Nile and brought to this place. Down is a broad term here. They're actually floated upriver. They're sailed upriver to this temple of Luxor. They walk through the promenade of the Sphinx, through the legs, into the crotch itself, and into the temple. And the Ark of Adam and Eve was called an ark. A barge itself was placed in the heart chamber, the place of the heart. This happened once a year or something. This was Yom Kippur. This is the birth of Yom Kippur. And people would come to the temple and they wanted to pay homage to the Adam and Eve, to this thing. By the way, sometimes there's three. It's most of the time there's three, but I just want you to look at it just as Adam and Eve because the Horus thing comes out of this later, but it's too many details to discuss. The point is that people come to the sacred place to try and worship, but only once does it open during Yom Kippur. This is potlatch. So only once is that hall open, but not everyone actually gets into that hall. It's still a sacred space. The offerings are brought in, and there is a rejection policy in which some offerings are not considered worthy enough to give to the king. However, they're still accepted by the person that brought them because this person came for a long time. It's their favorite goat. It's yada yada. There's going to be a story behind their offering. It's going to mean a lot. So the hole I showed you is actually the place where the sacrifices are not accepted quietly. And this is your colon. Excuse me. So sorry. This is your colon. And you have a relationship with this too. And it becomes your job to digest the offerings from your people and to reject that which is not worthy. And so before you begin the digestion itself, there is this exit way. Digestion itself has this exit way, but the entire thing is the body. And those who were worthy enough, probably, and I think this changes just like the virgins at Delphi. There was, a lot of bureaucracy that ran that thing for thousands of years. So you have to picture that the rules changed all the time. It was more of a fad or a cultural thing. But the point is that by cloistering the sacred place, you actually make people try and sit up more. You make people try and clean themselves more. They want in, man. They want to be able to say, yes, I've been in the sacred hall. The secrecy, the secrecy is the church. It's the mystery is coveted, which is the exactly counter to Baal, where I have to understand what thunder is. Well, it's just Baal. He's mad. You got to fucking bash your kid in. That's it. Just hit your kid with a rock. The whole storm goes away. Oh, I guess you don't want the storm to go away. Zog's like, fuck, what me do? What me do? It's like, you got to try both ways, dude. You got to practice, right? You got to try both ways. All this stuff gets inserted into a circuit, and now that circuit's back online, and that circuit knows everything. That circuit knows every single thing because it's listening to worship. It's listening to consciousness. This is why Yahweh can't see. Yahweh needs people to carry him around the desert because he doesn't have organs. He doesn't have an eyeball. You're not going to waste all that electricity growing an eyeball. You don't need that. You're just tapped into the pranic influence. Am I growing prana or am I dismissing prana? Am I growing prana or am I dismissing prana? And if you take that to the nth degree, if you advance that as far as your mind can imaginate, you're going to think about it as a supercomputer, but then you're going to think about how much processing that would take. You're going to start to picture, in my mind, you're going to picture the South Pole. You're going to picture a super cold environment because it'd be the only way that could process, maintain, store long-term information, like long term. And so in my mind, your imagination now you're done. You just this is your kit car. You can take this idea anywhere and just find where this kind of makes sense because it's nature on top of nature that's underneath nature. What it's just silicon paste. It's just silicon paste. You and I are just carbon French fries. That's right. That's all we are. That's all I got. Thanks.
Well, as this group and the work that's being done on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday continue to weave the corporate and the corporeal into like a single corpus, it really glorifies the power we have with our words, with uh, and our hands and our hearts. Lauren, thank you so much for keeping your hand raised. Uh, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Um, you were just speaking of nature, James, and carbon. Turtle Island is beautiful, and I want to thank Renee for sharing that video that she took with Ashley at Mount Tabor. That was beautiful. And finding all of the different structures that were made. I think it was that second structure that was shown where it just sort of looked like a spine. My imagination sort of kicked in, and I pictured looking at the Sasquatch and him just sort of forming that with his mind. And then that made me think about how much time I spend outside. I absolutely love it. I think it's healthy. I think it brings us back to life, helps manage pain. Breathing in the air, the fresh, sun-kissed air has done so much for me personally. And then when you study a little further and you find out that there's more than just oxygen and ozone in the air, there's something finer. It's like a light luminous. And if you know what you're doing and you practice, you can retain and store some of that. It makes life fun. I make more and more excuses to go outside to explore different parks and things like that. Um, but it also reminded me of a book that I really like that kind of touches on elementals. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Le Comte de Gabalis and the Irreconcilable Gnomes. It talks about the nature of gnomes, nymphs, salamanders, and sylphs. And it even touches on interspecies relationships. Anyway, it's a good book, just in case you guys wanted to take a little adventure. But the more and more time I spend outside, I'm talking about in breathing this air, I've actually been able to see, and I know this might sound strange, but around trees, I can see a purple and a bluish sort of lining around the trees. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but that's it. I just want to say thank you, Renee, and happy Friday, everybody. I enjoy everything that you guys share. I'm learning a lot from you, and you guys are becoming like family. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. I can second that notion. The time we spend together quickly grows significant. I mean, in quality or in the quantity, and also in the quality. It's really uh, more and more. The field of visibility continues to expand, and that's very amazing to even try to grasp what you might be experiencing with seeing these new auras. That's incredible. Would anybody like to say anything about what Lauren shared?
So I was just curious, like do you see it like around the trunks of trees or like with the sun in the back, or like what kind of a
Well,
condition is it?
I had seen it, I'd seen it in two small stages, but I probably shouldn't have been going out and walking in this wetland bird park that I frequent almost every day because it was one of the coldest winter days. Everything was just covered with snow. I was the only one that probably went to the park that day, the first person to lay down tracks in the snow. And I just remember really feeling it. I was very connected to my surroundings, almost like I was embedding in the array that was around me. And I remember writing with my feet on the ground the word favor. I find that to be a very powerful word, along with the word love. Me and my friend Wayne, we're always wishing people favor and love because I don't know, that's something that I'd want someone to wish me. So anyway, I was in this joyous spirit, just everything, looking around, everything made me happy. I was feeling connected to it. And I looked up. I'm like, I didn't know if it was the snow playing with me at first or not, but the purple was just this royal, beautiful, deep purple. I looked like a little closer and it was almost like the hottest part of a flame just surrounding the tree and it was like moving. And I actually cried a little bit. I know that that's probably, well, that was strange for me to admit in front of all of you, but I did. But then I went back maybe the next day or maybe 2 days later and it was there again, but it wasn't just a couple of trees. It was this whole section of trees, just blown away. I hope that answers your question, Pi.
Yeah, I just wanted some more details just because it sounds cool, you know. I have a bird wetland right nearby me. I should go take a little walk in it. But anyway, thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
I just find it astonishing in a beautiful way how you sharing that experience can open you up to vulnerability. The same way James is his scope of understanding and what he sees correlating between ancient future. It's it's a reason to cherish vulnerability. And thank you for sharing that. That
I have a I have something for Lauren. I did that shamanic initiation and study, and one of them was to practice learning to read auras, and the auras of the trees and the plants were easier for me. The humans, my judgment would get in the way of being able to truly stay neutral. But I love that it came through in that clearness of the frozen. Um, it's almost like the essence of the states of water and your consciousness of pure, unabounded love and the isolation of there's nobody out there but you and it. That was the pureness of how the auras get to visit you. And I can do it easily, more easily with salamandras at the fire than with the distraction on the earthly realm. I haven't really mastered the elements and not being distracted with my physical form in the elements. And I really love that you shared that book on all the. I make a lot of my art with the elementals, so the nymphs and the seraphims and the even the odinas. I mean, there's elements in water of the waves. So I love that you're exploring that. So I really related to it. Thank you for that share.
Really quick, I just want to add a cherry on top. Not that it even needs one, Lori, but Michael Levin taught me that, the out of all the animals, the salamander is going to be able to regenerate, its entire hand versus, say, a finger or the end of a finger, etc. So when both of you mentioned salamanders, I can't help but think that the regenerative nature of that is part of the auric glow that you see too. So thanks.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lauren and James. As, have the salamanders magically come back from the fire again after all these years? I feel like there was an old philosophical text that claimed that that's where they came from was the fire, and that materialistically tried to rationalize like that's just because they were burning wood next to the water, and which may be correct also. But that if I'm even thinking of the right, the terms you guys are mentioning are familiar to me on the page, but um, I'm not as well versed in the lore as I might want to be.
Well,
Annie,
I'm sorry,
go
I
ahead.
just have to say the salamandras that I was talking about are the spirits of the fire, and the fact that they are also an animal that does this regenerative thing, and that you just made the connection, Cameron, into the myth of the salamandra, which salamandras was its Spanish way of saying it. I really love that there's a connection there. It's more to explore.
The salamander is in the tarot. It's also a symbol of fire, and sometimes depicted that way. That's another little connection there.
Wonderful. Annie, thank you for keeping your hand raised. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I wanted to add on a million things about all those things, and they were really lovely. And I love trees, and I love the idea of seeing the aura. And I like to hold the branches are hands, arms of the tree, like creating kind of a circuit, like a battery circuit of grounding and whatever is going on. But what I really wanted to just mention today was, and why I wasn't here last week, and I missed all the drama, of course, but maybe it's better that I missed all that, was that I was seeing a family member, and I'm in an elder group who is at the elder top of, basically we're not kids, basically we are the elders now. And I don't have very much in the way of family anywhere. And I don't really have very many, well, I don't have any nearby. So trying not to get emotional right here, right now, because I've already done that. I don't need to do that right here, right now. Anyway, I haven't seen my brother in 10 years. And when they left, I don't know when I'm going to see them again. So the thing that really I learned from it is that the things that irritate the heck out of me that my brother does and my sisters do, and not irritate, but there's things that they do that they say. And now I realized why, that it really reminds me of how I am with other people. And it, in a bare naked way, showed me how I might make an offhanded remark, or I might have a certain sense of superiority, or make a joke that sounds rude, and never really saw it that way until it happened to me, and it was them. And it was like looking in a mirror and seeing what it's like when I do it to other people. And it was just that, with a mixture of maybe I'll see them, maybe I won't, because I'm the youngest and I'm 65. So I have a couple of other siblings. And other than that, luckily they have some children, and I hope their children have a bunch of children. Otherwise, I don't know. It's just kind of sad. It does feel like we're at the end of something. And being a water sign, I tend to dwell in the bottom water part of everything, and which I'll tie back to the idea of being outside with your hands in the earth and grounding and being in nature, and how healing it is for me to spend all day outside. And the fact that I didn't know that we were having a thing today, and I was like, oh man, I really want to just be outside. And it's like, I'm already getting sunburned. I'm going to get fried this summer. I can tell, because have all these projects going. And it really makes me feel like I'm connecting to the land and to the creatures. And they're not salamanders, but I do have wild iguanas, or they're called chuckwallas, in the desert. And we're in one of the hottest regions in the country, if not the world, here where I live. And they come out when it starts getting warm, and when they go back in the winter, in the fall, they go underground, like kind of like a hibernation, and I don't see them again until spring. And so they came back. 2 of them came back, and they recognized me, and they came running to see me like little puppies, but they're iguanas, and they're so cool. And I'm so happy because there were some things going on here that made me think they might have been in danger and even killed or whatever. I'm not sure because there was all kinds of bulldozers and things, and they live underground. They're sleeping underground, and so when I saw them, it was like, oh, thank God, you know. So anyway, I'm kind of an emotional mess, so I'm done.
Thank you for contributing that. And truly, there's hardly anything that hits me harder than the thought of for me right now. It's my mother, but yeah, with family, yeah, the thought of family not being here in the overworld with us, to use a term, as I just, nobody has that access that can really make you cry. That's or that's, thank you for sharing that, and I'm glad the salamanders have shown back up. I'm sorry, not the salamanders, the iguanas. That's a good sign. A lot of the creatures of that ilk really speak to a certain degree of cleanliness in the land, I think, and it reminds me of, again, to go back to just to touch on Lauren and her the spectrum unfolding for her, and new colors coming out. Lauren also reminds me of clean land, and not to put labels on a person, but I'm glad that the salamanders there, and amid all that construction, that the birds are still there, and the landscape is it's your landscape around your home. I think it's natural and artificial all at the same time. It's this perfect equilibrium, and I think that that's the human power. To when I think of pure nature, unadulterated, I in this land it's blackjacks and this close where you can't squeeze through them, and briar, around the blackjacks, and you just got to cut and cut and cut and to get that land. But in my experience, we when we cultivate the land a little bit, and in service of the corpus, I really do. I feel like life increases, and the visible spectrum of that life diversifies. On our land here, it was the horny toad, and the salamander. On my grandfather's land, I used to fear that that was because the land had become unclean before a Navajo elder on YouTube by the name of Wally told me that was actually a sign of the grandfather, the horny toad. And I see these animals as a sort of telepathic expression, if we can get there. I'm sorry for carrying on so much, Annie, with my own story. And
I want to throw something on too, if I can, Cameron, because uh, there's some deep tremors, Annie, about mortality and seeing your brother again, and I just it's a great opportunity to pose this to the group. How does your cosmology change if you think that we're going to be collectively as a species living for another 200,000 years or 215? That question changes your cosmology a little bit. And if you're not sure how, just up the 215 to 3 years. You'll find, but keep it as far away as you can, because I want you to find just how much it changes your cosmology to think about such things. You could look at your mortality as coveting the top of a baby's head. That because life is precious, you would think, well, why would you want to? Baby loves sun. The sun loves baby. Why are you blocking that? But the coveting of that, it's a secret. You're putting secrecy on something which makes it more special. So we only have 200, if you want to take this cosmology, we only have 215 years, not because everything's being destroyed. In my heart, we have 215 years until we figure everything out. At the moment, there's no more mystery, there's nothing to hide. I have a genetic prediction of what's going to happen to baby skin, and I know that there's a alarm on my iPhone that will say, baby needs covered from sun now, and that they would do it better than I would. It would understand it more than I ever could, and it would eliminate all the mystery out of it all. It would. This is how we disappear, guys. We disappear into the everything, not into the nothing. Do you see what I mean? It's the everything. And so the sadness that we feel is just the coveting of what we have. It's proof that you're paying attention. It's proof that you're here. And if we could cry all the time, every moment would be so important. It would be so important. And we would have to sleep for 18 hours a day, you know? If that's how they were, we'd be napping all the time. We'd be taking naps every 45 minutes. We have to put ourselves down because life's just so loud, you know? So these feelings are loud because we're really, really here. We're so here. And that's a good thing. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, James. Thank you again, Andy. Anybody else have anything any thoughts they'd like to share with Andy before we?
I have one thing. I
Go
think
ahead.
it was Annie that shared that falcon. Was
I
it you,
remember that.
Annie, that had the falcon? Well, yesterday a falcon showed up in my tree. One of those starts with a P. I live in a town. It's really unusual to have a falcon in my tree.
Peregrine?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had one of those. And I was like, I put it up on my bird app and I was like, holy moly. And so the connection, Annie, that I feel with you wherever you are in that desert location, I am grateful to share in the tears and the shedding of I think really, I don't know, I'm going to ask this question. I think tears are a form of water, like a superpower water. There has some kind of protein in it. And I love what James shed on tears. So thanks.
Thank you, Lori. I also enjoyed what you shared on tears in your recent poem. Thank you for putting that in the chat. But the way you were able to capture those, that was beautiful and touching. Deb,
Oh, hi.
I thank you for keeping your hand up, and the floor is yours.
Okay. There was a couple of things I wanted to mention. What Lauren was talking about. There was a point when I used to have Crohn's disease. I had bowel resection, and they took out my ileum. Anyway, part of it. So there was a point where I thought, I'm definitely gonna die, and it was when I just said Shavasana, I'm gonna die, and that was when I had. It was before I had the energy shooting out of my head, but I was meditating a lot in the yard, and I started being able to feel the vibrations underneath my back. And I don't have a salamander friend, but I do have a sylph that lives in the yard that shows up when I call. And I know that sounds incredibly insane, but so the other thing I wanted to share about animals is I had a dream about a frog, that I had a frog in my mouth. I don't know what that means. If anybody has any ideas about that, the only thing that occurs to me is that there's a hallucinogenic toad. But anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
That is fascinating. Does anybody have any thoughts they'd like to share on how to interpret the frog in the dream? I'd love to hear it.
I'm talking a lot, but I just wanted to say in the Peruvian cosmology, the frog is a form of it's a metamorphosis and it's new life. It's like when the frog comes in, it's a rebirth. So that's the frog cosmology in Peru. It's really, really sacred. And the fact that you're fading in and out of your flower scene, every time you talk, your flowers go up like this, and then you're like gone and then you come back. It's like fascinating how that background is doing that. All right.
I'm trying
Good,
I'm
good
trying
to
to
see.
stay still.
Good to hear. Don't stay still. It was kind of cool.
Deb, I think about what you said recently about your love to name things and strictly leaning on what Lori just offered us. Perhaps a new your own New Testament is coming fruition sometime in the near future. I really appreciate that you recognize your desire to name things. I think there's great power in names myself. So.
Oh, last thing I wanted to say is thank you so much for everything that you guys have said. That a lot of it resonates with me about how to manage my energy and my body, etc. So thank you very much. I feel very honored.
I feel the same, Deb, for being here, and thanks again to everybody for that. Renee, great to see you, senpai.
Oh my gosh, I see you. I see you. I have just been listening. I did go a little black there for a while. I was at the bank actually. It's so funny, but it's so great I can go do things and listen. I'm like, how are you able to be in a dojo mat and put money in a bank? So it's just like we are at this really amazing potent place. So I want to tell you guys about like in 2020, I had one of my first visions that really would just like stun me awake from a sleep. Now that you're talking about these salamanders and lizards and reptiles, so I was in my bed and I was laying there, and I was late in space. I'd sunk in, right? And you know how visions come to in front of you. It can snow, dogs can run to you, or you can be in a bush and you're looking out. You're kind of like a Sasquatch, I think. You're kind of like this fairy, I think, because you're in that space. And I saw it was all black in my space, but at the bottom of my view was an orange reptilian creature. And it was like squatted like this. It was all frozen and posed like a stone. And I was watching it and I was like, wow. And then it moved. And I was like, oh. So that was in 2020. I think we had a lot of movement underneath that soil there. I also did the medicine of the frog in 2020 for the first time. And I went to where that took me. And that was a very interesting experience. I did, what do we call it? A microdose. Initially, it was just a dose to set. Is this okay to talk about? I mean, this with the frog is here. So I did a microdose. And the story that rolls out to even how this happened is so sweet. It's Candy. It literally is the woman's son who told me to meet her son and introduced me to this medicine. Her name is Candy. So, how this rolled out is really interesting. But so I did the microdose, and another person was doing it beside me. And she was in a fetal position throughout it. Now, when I took the medicine, I was sitting kind of like I am right now on a couch, and I just went, oh, no, 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 this is not okay. This is not okay. This is not okay. I was going into this cell of like so much intensity that I was like, I can't handle this. I will not be doing a full dose. This is a no go, no go. And then I started moving. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, okay. I literally stood up. I started stretching in the doors, and I looked down, and this woman's in a fetal position. I'm like, oh my gosh, is she okay? But I was still like in that fluid. I'm like, I'm okay. Like, oh wow, whoa. And the guy that served that medicine to me, he looked at me. He's like, you want to do some more? I'm like, oh yeah, I want to know. I want to know. And I found out. Now, I did a lot of previous work to that because I had put my past friend's husband life where I used to work, put myself in this position where I was opposing what was being pushed on to me. So I really needed to have these breakthroughs come through to me, and not even a way I wasn't even looking. I mean, I'd done mushrooms and more just to open my aperture. And then, like acid as a kid, I haven't done that for since like my 20s. And ecstasy. I did do that. That was a big aperture open. I got engaged on ecstasy. Okay, if you want to know the truth, yeah. I'm like, I might as well marry you. It was coming anyway. I knew it. So it was an interesting, like, okay, I'll surrender. I'll surrender. You know, just this is going to happen, Renee. Just let this roll you out. And it was great. I got my girls. I got a lot of vitriol. I got a lot of good experiences. All the above, right? And below. I got the above and below. But yeah, I'm loving all this feminine inner space wisdom exploration where we go into that space and go to the nature. My first big aura was the birds. It was the birds. So I'd be at the park at the sunrise and I would see each bird have a gelatinous blue moving with them. And I'm like, whoa, you got a nice bubble. And I can look at each crow. We have a crow time in Portland. They come and go with the sun, the rise and the set. I have a huge murder that just I'll go up the street. I'm like, let's go this way. So I go out and I play with the nature. So I think this is mother. This is mother, guys. You know, and she's very powerful and very potent. Now we see the storms arising and the children and on the shores. You know, so that's what I got. I got a tap well that I've been sinking into with my ancestral peaks and my four corners. So loving that. So thanks a lot, guys. Really loving to hear that we are connected this way in 2020. You know what I mean?
I
Really,
do.
we will meet each other. We just don't know how yet. We look into the fire. We sit by the trees. We go to the snows. Sake Reds, you Reds. Thank you. Thank you for you. Thank you for you. Thank you for surviving. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Renee.
I mute.
The sorry, I'm suddenly at a loss. Except for to perhaps well, never mind. I guess I'm just at it. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share? Any thoughts they'd like to share with Renee? Maybe mine will come back to me here in a moment.
There's something about that color too. That's when I was in Panama. Those tree frogs that ooze that toxin were orange, like a salamander, like that, you know. And then you could see it oozing, and I was like almost tempted to like touch it, but I'm probably glad I didn't in that environment. But you know, I don't know if they're all that way, but the ones I saw that were there were this oozing, shining orange, and you could see it, you know, and you could just like, I mean, I almost like leaned up against it, and it didn't even move or anything. It's like it's asking me to like, it's like
kiss a frog. Kiss
a
a
little,
frog.
you know, in case you feel like you need to, whatever. But anyway, something about that's. I just thought that was interesting.
Well, yeah, isn't there symbology of people with frogs in their mouths or, you know, like the whole story of kissing a frog? I mean, these frogs have to be here for a reason. You know what I mean? And the fact that that was such a huge aperture opener for me, just I was there. And everybody has their own experience, though. I've seen other people take that medicine, and I've served that medicine, and I don't even know if I'm ready for that. You know what I mean? It's so potent, and the work to get you there is so immense. To have an experience like it's a heavy lift. You know what I mean? It is a heavy lift. So you really want to be in alignment that was meant. You know, like mine, I didn't even know I was doing, I didn't know where I was going. I never even heard of it. I mean, this is how I was just like, white belt, even
Well,
wearing crystals, white belt. What am I doing with Moldavite? What am I doing walking around with Moldavite? What am I doing wearing around this orca? It's orca stone. You know what I mean? It's a straw. I'm thirsty. You know, like let's go. And that's the 215 years left. That's what that feels like. You know, we have kiddos and people that will learn from us. And like James has a whole generation that will learn from him as their parents learn or don't. Either way, it works. You know what I mean? Our hearts are so big. Our hearts are so big right now. And we are dangerous. We are dangerous. We are. But, you know, that's 215 years. You know, like we're going for it. We're children of the corn. We're the wild children returned. Turtle Islands. Yeah, that's what I got.
thank you, Renee. I was sort of at a loss on whether I should share some of my own experiences that to just reinforce how you were how that experience might have been expansive for you. It might have changed the polarity instead of rejecting and opposition. You were able to reverse the polarity and start to be more accepting and taking in. Um, maybe the better approach was, given that ego's been on the mat a couple of times, how to discuss it. I think I've heard James define the psychedelic experience specifically as something akin to an ego death. Um, and I don't know if he would actually, if I could be misremembering. Um, uh,
Well, if you think about how all medicine is has a psychic voltage, and one of the higher psychic voltages would be a near death experience, then anything that invokes a near death experience would be transformative. And so you'll either be in the fetal position, or you'll be in ecstasy or bliss. Both those are transformative from the near death experience. So when I look at psychedelics, I just think people are killing themselves temporarily, and that ritual invokes a near death experience. But we want to venerate the substance more and give it a kind of animism, because we have to put what we just killed into into something else, and so we can swallow it. So we kind of have to take our own magic and give it to the mushroom so we can unlock the magic inside of ourselves. So I try not to talk about it a lot. It's funny. It's exactly in line with my feeling embarrassed about my cosmology, or my sexuality. It's I don't want people to know the intimacies of my relationship with those things, because when I was coming online, I was told that I would find enlightenment if I did those things. And I don't think that was correct at all. I, I like, not even at all. I think it was sort of it led me off on a different trail, where I was seeking a certain element in the world that was not me, but was found in a certain place. And I watched there's where all the psychopaths hung out. It was typically the dealers that were like, "Hey, I have a pill called ecstasy, and if you come to me at a rave, you're going to pay me 150, $200 for a pill that I don't even know what's in it." And I just was looking at the psychic vortex that created, and how fame and veneration fall into whoever can bring that kind of experience. And it really blew my mind, because it gave me a near death experience with society itself, with realizing that none of these people value the self part of it so much. This is me judging it, but I'm just saying I don't have a really good romantic relationship with psychedelics themselves. And I've done psychedelics, so I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite for feeling that way. I do look back, though, at all the psychic energy I wasted trying to breed relationships with psychopaths, because they were willing to stretch the law to harbor certain things. And that created its own mafia that I found to be really distasteful, because no one was valuing the spirit of each other. They were selling a ticket into a secret club, and I really wanted in that club bad. I did peyote, and I saw trees as hands coming out of the ground and tickling the sky with the bronchioles of their fingers. I don't want anyone to not have that experience. I don't want to take that away from anyone, but also that's none of your fucking business. I It's none of your fucking business. I'm not saying no one should share this. I'm literally telling you I've just been playing with this idea of intimacy. My spiritual intimacy is going to be events that I don't want anyone to come spoil, who maybe has a superficial look at something. And I saw Grateful Dead that way. I really wanted there to be this organic essence. And honestly, I was just projecting that out of myself, squeezing it on the trees, and then kind of so I could forget, and then looking at the trees again and going, "Oh wow, look at the essence of spirituality on them." And it's I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I sold grilled cheese. I'm glad that I encountered all those people. And I'm also glad that I learned, you learn the piranha game there. And so I'm glad that I fell in love with it. I wasn't able to fall in love with normal society enough to learn those things. So I had to feel that these people have it and that I need to get it and that I can get it if I bathe myself in them and wear their clothes and do their things and copy their stuff. This is a spiritual movement that I go through. But guess what? The near death experience is when I left that place. For me, it was when I left Asheville, when I left that place, when I said goodbye to all that. That's when the psychic stuff started to come out. I never saw an aura in Asheville, but I was surrounded by everyone that insisted they saw them every day. And then when you ask them about specifics, they can't say things like, I saw the purple, but only in the trees. They don't fucking say that. They don't want to talk about that. It's more about the cred of I have the badge that I've seen that. I'm judging people right now like crazy, but I'm judging them because I wasn't able to find my individuality inside of that. I'll just say that. This is as polite as I can get it. I cannot picture auras like many of girls can. I know that it's a higher prevalence inside females to have this other ability. I can feel auras, and the closest thing I can do to seeing them is that the reason why I brought up the liver earlier is yes, the liver is like 95% regenerative, so you could cut as almost as much as like 90% of it away and it would grow back. It's amazing. It's the only thing in the body that does that. That's the salamander. When I look at someone's face, I can see their liver broadcasted through their skin. And I think that all of us can. I think all of us see it right now. We see it right now. And it looks yellow. And you can Google jaundice and they'll show you here's a picture of what it's like if you have jaundice. And that's just aura. Guys, that's the aura. It's so ubiquitous. It's right there and we'll never say it. And the reason why I think it's there is because the regenerative has a stronger aura to it because the regenerative is going to glow more in the auric field. And glowing more, it has a chromatic electrical taste to it. And this is that smell that we've turned off. But we're coming back on because, like Renee's talking about, because we only got 215 years. We only have 215 years. So don't worry if you can't see the aura. It's coming online anyway. Yes, Renee. Yeah, the rainbow, exactly. Like you could look at all the rainbow cult. It's just, guys, it's time to see the rainbow. And people are like, no, I'll never accept the fucking evil. That's exactly what it would feel like. I don't want to see auras. I don't want to see auras. And it's like, don't worry, you're only going to have to see them for 0 to 215 years. That's the most you're going to have to stare at them. And once you get there, I think you imagine if you knew someone's mortality because you could see their what we call jaundice, what we call that, right? Is you're looking directly at their Prometheus. You're staring directly into the eye of the Prometheus, and it's broadcast on their face the same way blush is, the same way embarrassment, the same way shame or excitement is. So these are our auras. And the moment we start just talking about them more, I'm a practicalist. I hope I'm not draining you guys right now. I hope this will help what I'm saying. I can't picture I can't picture a I can't picture a blue pyramid in my mind. I can't close my eyes and picture a blue pyramid in a blue pyramid form. I know that everyone thinks you can do that. And I used to think I could do that until I fucking tried. Like I really tried. And I tried by telling myself a blue pyramid, then I'm going to find out what the shade is. I'm going to find out because I'm going to look. Do you see what I mean? I'm going to, there's all kinds of blues. It could be teal, it could be baby blue, it could be cobalt blue, it could be black, it could be midnight blue. So do it. And I picture and I don't see anything. I can taste the pyramid. I have strong simulational awareness. Okay. I can sense the aura of a pyramid by commanding it, but it's not visual. My phonological loop is not transmitted into my placebo visually. It comes through a different thing. I think I'm just throwing this out. I think it's because I'm a Taurus. I think I can taste shapes. I can taste the texture of what it would feel like if this chip had ridges. As a kid, I trained. I was just this how much I love food. This is how I imagine. And each of us are going to imagine in different ways. We're doing it right now anyway, but we hide it behind words like, oh, well, John just shows up. And no, that's not what's happening. This is what denial says is happening. What's happening is all of us are seeing auras more and more every day, but the dial is going so slow that we can't notice it. It's like watching plants grow, right? Even the plants are teaching us this. That's all I got. Except for we can fucking see auras, and we do it. And if we talk about it more, if we keep discussing this only makes more sense. Thanks.
Absolutely. I think that talking about it only expands the possibility. The same way a 4 minute mile makes a 4 minute mile possible, or the crystal. Uh, um, and I love that you brought jaundice into it as evidence that we all see an aura. And I think the shape of salt and sugar might also say that we all taste shape. Um, uh, they under the microscope, those are very different geometries, and the flavor is mysteriously captured in that somehow. It's fantastic.
I just really want to tap in just really quick, just to kind of do a little closing of this. I don't feel like I need any of those things anymore. If anything, I don't even want to play with those because I'm so dialed in. And a lot of it has been my personal work. That was a big push for me to do those medicines, but I've naturally kept it going. I like cannabis, yeah, I do. But other than I keep it going on my own force. You know what I mean? So it's I don't even want to mess with my energy that in that way anymore. It's so beautiful. But I'm just wanting to share that that is one of the paths I did take just honestly, and I earnestly did learn a lot. And but I think we're going so fast now. I don't think the kids need it. I don't think the kids need it because it's so high definition for them that that's where I think we got to be really mindful of watching our peace around our kids so they can stay in peace and not need to like I got to go over here, because my mom's not feeling, so I have to feel for her apparently. That's kind of like that. Okay, thanks a lot.
Hope I didn't sound judgmental, Renee.
Oh no, it's okay. No, it's
Okay.
both sides, honey.
I just
It's
more meant like it's more personal, like being
yeah.
naked. Anyway.
I'm very proud of my decisions I've made. I'm very proud. I take what
Yeah,
I've
and I can attest,
very
Renee
serious,
is always
very
tripping
serious.
balls, like sober. Seriously, you pull her right off the bus, like out of the factory, out of the box. She's tripping balls. It's just, yeah, it's kind of
Bounce the
cool.
balls. Where's the ball? Can I put it on my head? Like seriously, like I love balls. Did you guys apparently? I love balls. Make a flip out of that one. You guys can if you can hang that on a hat, I'll wear it.
Thank you, Renee. And thank you for speaking up and for you kind of pulled out my own shyness and embarrassment because frankly, I am in solidarity with you. Uh, you know, my we can probably just leave it at that and you understand what I mean. Uh, if anyone doesn't have anything else to add, any thoughts to add to what we just discussed, I will move to Lori. I'm sorry, all of a sudden my participants' hands. Okay, there we are. Yes, Lori, you are next.
Well, I'm
Go
kind of
ahead.
adding,
Great.
and I'm also in solidarity to the experience. Part of my experience is having so much fear, anxiety that I chose aperture openings that gave me choices to do sacred medicine and sacred sites. And I am not and couldn't seem to get into the rave scenes or the doing all that stuff at music festivals. My route was preparing 6 years to do ayahuasca or wachuma, like 5 years to prepare for the wachuma, which is grandfather, and then six, almost 7 years to prepare to do ayahuasca. I was I'm a little older than everybody here. I wasn't, I was like out of the 60s, didn't get to have that experience. I was more like a 70s, kind of growing up in the disco or coming of age in the disco scene. And I guess there was drugs around, but I really didn't do recreational drugs. And actually, cannabis was not something I used as a young adult. And so I went into everything really consciously. And I don't mind sharing the experience because as far as I'm concerned, I live like Renee, like totally turned on and like open booked, even naked in hot springs. I love to go naked in hot springs. If it's clothing optional, my clothes aren't on. I like to have the water on my body, on my skin, and I like to feel the elementals entering into my body. I like to have the full on experience. So my question is, I think it's toad medicine, not frog. Frog is a different type of energy. I don't know if it's the frog that does it or the toad. That's like my question, um, because the frog is that reemergence or that rebirth, and I don't know if the toad is a form like the two vines together, however it came in with the ayahuasca to create a death, a mini death ritual. And I did it twice, and I got what I needed. It's affected me forever when I saw the fractality of being the vision of being born as a baby out of the clay and having that big anaconda snake eat me. And then I grew into the earth and I blew up into gold and silver triangles. And my body went all around like space as like triangles of light, gold and silver. All I needed. That was it. It will be forever changed in me to know that we all are that big. We all are that great. That was like something so profound, um, that I never really have to do any of it again. And I have a lot of people in this area that are offering these. And there's a lot of the youngins, 40 somethings that are into this, everything's plant medicine and everything is, all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, I guess you can call it judgmental. I see it as a form of bypassing in a lot of ways. Um, and not to say that my experience wasn't my experience, but I think that they make these type of churches as a way of tripping, as a way of kind of not being able to transmute some pain here on the planet. And I get it. I'm really compassionate about it, but I also voice my opinion about where, when, the set and setting, and et cetera, of like why I chose to do it, where the plant was grown. I really wanted it to be in that level of connection with myself and with the people that it's their life, not their hobby. So that's my opinion on it, and I don't mind sharing it. And thanks for letting me offer that experience.
Lori. The it can be difficult to lose a child's wonder. Whenever I very first was introduced to it, I kind of, you could, not to victimize, but I was maybe more in a more innocent form where I perhaps lacked reverence for myself and the situation. Although I was very far from my childhood, I was in the midst of puberty uh, and difficulties at home. I won't give it credit for bringing back the childhood wonder as much as really showing me in a palpable sense that what I was taking in wasn't necessarily a product of my body's sensory systems as much as it was like the whole sensorium became fluid and working together, and I really started to understand, maybe with not the words that this group's allowed me to use these days, but that that what I see is an accumulation of all my experience and a correlation with this, with my past self and my ancestors. We could say, including my past self and my sense of the future and the sense of the presence. And it really did put me in the present in those moments. And thank you again, Lori, for sharing your experience, and you again, Renee. Ksenia, thank you for keeping your hand raised, and floor is yours.
Well, thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here. I love the shares. Renee's dream, the orange reptile, it reminded me of when, and James, you said this years ago, but I ate that like a golden piece of chocolate, like when you were like reptiles wait 15 minutes and then they strike. that's what it reminded me of. Like, and then the fact that it's orange and given, what's going on today. And, just I like the idea of ancient AI. It helps me like imaginate on this playground better. Because the whole like they're out to get us and it's us versus them, like it's really hard to play with that imagery or that ideology that there is this like war going on. What if we're just all growing and growing is chaotic? It hurts. Like when you said like imagine like that vine growing around the trellis, like how much would it hurt to like grow upward? And that made it against gravity, like that really makes sense. And the terms of like psychedelics, I used to be like super addicted to psychedelics because I didn't like reality. I felt like Stan in South Park when he was drinking Jameson because everybody sounded like feces. Like, did anyone see that episode? But it was just like that's how I felt as like even an adolescent because I'm still a baby. I feel like I'm a little baby in this world, and I'm still growing, and I'm having trouble uh associating with people my age because they're on TikTok and they're still trying to figure out Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance while I'm just like, hey, like what if like hermaphroditism has always been around? And then they're just like, and I'm like, hey, I'm reading this book, Ark of Baphomet, where like Noah's this albino giant and he has a vagina. And they're like, what are you talking about? So I'm just having a little bit of trouble lately. That's my share.
Oh my gosh, that is just so perfect. Like, there's an albino, and we're at the Park Mountain Tabor. There's a Sasquatch out here. And they're like, oh, that Sasquatch heads are for kids, and we're just like, what? We're just it's crazy, crazy in engines. We are engines of this land. Indians, we're engines. Oh, that just came through. Bravo. So I'm sitting here thinking about gambling, a paradise, and what were your four corners like? What were your grandparents like? What did they do? Were they gamblers? What did they want? What did they dream for? My mom's dad was a gambling man, and he knew I was a gambler. So I think he rolled a pair of dice to see if I'd come out the root beer kid. And guess what I did? So landed a plane on it. So I mean, you just see how we're playing this game, and it's you're rolling for snake eyes. You're trying to see like so you don't we don't they don't know where you're going. They're just like, I wonder if they'll go this way. I wonder if they'll go this way. And my grandpa would definitely had done 5-EMO DMT, I think it was called. He was a gambler. He wanted to go deep and hard because that's how he lived his little life after both his parents left him during the Spanish flu, influenza. So this kid he'd get scrappy, so I'm that scrappy kid. So that's like my boy. I'm just out there just feeling that I wish I was safe. I wish I could find a nest. I wish I could find home. I wish I couldn't find home. So this is the pain that we are beautifully orchestrating through our works. So that's it. I'm just want to give him a shout out. The egg hatched. The egg hatched. I am a rooster in Chinese calendar. So there, yeah.
Nice.
I wanted to throw into Yesenia that I distinctly remember uh, being younger than I am now and having absolutely no association into my generation, like at all, like none. In fact, now people put me in a generation and I don't really like it because I'm like, when I was there, I wasn't I wasn't there. Like those people didn't talk to me. They didn't dig where I was going. I was into Jack Kerouac. We were like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was into I was trying to revitalize the hippie movement in a lot of ways. It was just a totally different flex for me versus everyone else. And it's a lonely time because you're formulating uh, your plant, your stalk, and it's going to be a lot taller because that's the only way you can collect enough to feed. what you're really watching is everyone's satisfied with a lower appetite than you. And that's what it means to feel alone. That's the only thing it means. It means it's lunchtime and everyone can go in the cafeteria and you're like, I gotta fucking bake these beans. I got a stove. I'm gonna put this out. I gotta rig up my solar oven. This is gonna take a while, guys. And you just that's just the way. There's nothing you can do about it. So you're not gonna be able to chop yourself off. You can try, but you already have. It's not gonna work. The secrets are important, is what I want you to know. The secrets are important. And it's probably why I responded the way I did today about psychedelics. The secrets are important. This is who makes you. And I didn't go into the sexuality thing earlier because I can't tell you. Guys, I didn't tell you I was straight. I told you that I wasn't a gay man. And I don't want you to know because it's none of your business because it would destroy the intimacy of who I am. My sexuality is a cosmology and it's a cosmological secret. It's the secret name for God is that. And I you cannot teach the idea of keeping a secret in public. You can't do it. You can't do it. If you guys found out what my secret name of God is, I would have to destroy that God and create another just so I could survive as an individual. Do you understand? This is how it works. This is exactly how it works. That all the nuance, fetish, totem, weird shit that I did as a kid was a survival mechanism exclusively to keep me isolated, Yesenia. How do I maintain my isolation? Because I love these people too much. I will eat them up. But I cannot learn to feed on what they feed. So I have to isolate myself by saying awkward things, by having these awkward urges. This is you trusting yourself. You're casting a very big hiss that says, Noah, hermaphrodite, albino, giant, lived 900 years, ancient intelligence, is you drawing a salt circle that says, do not fuck with me. I am growing something here. And it feels selfish and it feels rude and it feels antisocial because it's antisocial, it's selfish, and it's rude. That's why. And this is so important. It's crucial. That's how important it is. It's the great work. You are a Luciferian agenda. You really are. And everyone is seeing you destroying the innocence and how perfect everything would be if you would just shut your face up. This is what it feels like to hold that salt cell all the time. It sounds like you have to talk louder now because I have a Luciferian bubble happening now. It's like that. And this is why most people don't want it. Just like, I turn that shit off. Why are you running a generator? I fucking hate the sound of generator. Shut up. And the person's like, cuz look at all I can fucking do with a generator. Fuck, man. Got a circular saw, bitch. What do you want cut? It's like, it's a whole different world, right? So that's all I got, but I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here, Yesenia.
Thank you, James. It's currently 1 o'clock, which puts us at the 90-minute mark. I'm going to thank everybody who's here for respecting the dojo. If you need to leave for any reason now, then I want you to feel free to go ahead and leave. There's no foul on the dojo. And thank you for your time here. We're going to go to Brad next. Before I make sure that nobody wants to add to the thoughts that have been shared in response to Yesenia.
I would like to add to that. It is a loosey fairy, man. We're a loose fairy. So we're kind of going around and like ferried all over the place. And that's how I kind of see the energy. We are loose with our scribe. We're loose with our sickle. So it's, finding that core to really, okay, settle it down, everybody. But when you make a good piece of work and it just has to be shown, like that's what's happening. That's what's going on. And the Sasquatch, the wild child, has always been here. It's always been here. And I was a little, ragamuffin country kid, runny nose, and so I was just like, ah. So being that energy, the Sasquatch I've had that energy with me, I think the whole time, wherever I've wandered, I've had that magic with me, just being a kid at the forest. And that was for my ancestors to rest and make me strong in that forest. I lived there till I was 8. And so, I see the genius in my parents' cosmology, stretching my cosmology into their circle to then choose whether I stay or drift or how far I part. Um, and I'm still a member of the Latter-day Saints. I haven't gone through and just like pulled out my name. Sometimes I'll get Mormons coming by. And I always kind of like just, I probably blow their mind a little bit. They come to the door. I'm just like, well, you're not coming in, but it's an interesting little. I'm like, I see you guys. But there, I do feel very judgmental from my posture right now and the peaks that I see, and I know that Turtle Island has a lot of uncovering to do. And I think the 19 years we have in Neptune in this Aries modality of fire and creation energy, cardinal as it is, will be doing just that. So, yeah, I'm just glad to see so many people here participating and adding their stories to the wheel. You know what I mean? Thanks so much. That's it.
Absolutely. 19 years, you say, Renee. I was touched by you reading the numbers on the plane that went into the harbor. Not to digress too much, but I love that that's a practice of yours. That's great. And I say that's great. That almost sounds patronizing. I think that's awesome. And like I couldn't help but notice that um, someone's cat was 19 years old recently. In a story shared here, I love numbers. Brad, thank you for keeping your hand raised. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thanks, Cam. Hey, how's everybody going? Hey, if my audio is bad, please do cut me off. I'm outside and I'm mobile. But anyway, the only thing I was going to add real quick was in relation to the psychedelics and the feeling isolated, if you will, as far as unattached to your generation, whatever. For me, and I don't know if it was strictly that, because James, I saw your second part interview with Carmen, and where you were talking about, yeah, whether once your aperture stretches, can you ever go back? And for me, there was sort of an, and I will give psychedelics maybe a little bit of credit, because what it does do, I think, is it takes you out of your normal state. It just alters you in a sense, right? Just that act in and of itself, I kind of think gave me opportunity to kind of see in a different way, if you will. And just tying that into apertures, I think that it was the first aspects I started stepping into where for the first time, what someone was talking about earlier, where you start to see your own flaws. Like when you have a problem with somebody else, you almost instantly see, oh, I'm guilty of that too. And that kind of started that, where I could not turn that off. And once I started moving into those areas with the aperture, you could say, had expanded, and I was seeing in that way, it was really not just my generation. It was a process where almost everyone I was becoming, where I didn't relate to, because I wasn't feeding on, like you were saying, the TikTok and all that. But whatever the normal appetite was, it was I was not interested anymore, and it was a process of trying to sit there and factor down a little bit to be able to. I'm going to go ahead and close off, because I know my audio is bad and I'm out here. But that was kind of all I was wanting to share. But so I do think psychedelics, I think, just like anything else, can be abused, and it's not something I'd recommend to saying, like, go get tripped out. But I do think that they're starting to use mushroom therapy for PTSD and things like this. So I do think that there is some medicinal values, but I do think you should be very conscious about like why and what you're trying to do with it, not just get zonked out, if that makes sense. But that's all I got, guys.
Thank you.
Sometimes I wonder if that isn't an allopathic approach to like try to excise a part of yourself out. Just in my experience, me and a bandmate, we tripped and we were really melancholy and kind of in mourning afterwards, and we both realized that we'd killed some part of ourselves and that we couldn't get it back, we kind of had to, and it scared us to death because we were worried that we wouldn't be able to continue to write songs because we liked what we had going, and we're just like, after that, we're just like, we don't want to fuck with our muse, you know. It's like we were worried, and then it kind of brought us together because, you know, we both, you know, shared deaths or something, you know, and so then but it, you know, it gave us more of a reverence for our songwriting thing, you know, to not take it for granted and just, you know, realize like, yeah, we like doing that. So that was kind of my experience. But I think that, you know, it is kind of a death, and, you know, you might, like with Lori, you might prepare, and you're preparing for a different kind of an experience, maybe than somebody just in the moment that might think they're doing it recreationally. But like with everything, it's kind of your posture afterwards, I suppose, you know, that really brings it into fruition. So as far as like I don't know, I just have this feeling like, without even knowing, like when you're using it as a medicine, that it's still somewhat, you know, allopathic in that sense of you know, having an operation or something like that. And just and people might want that though. So I just didn't, you know, I didn't want to give that up. It made me feel like it's just like it's not worth. I'm not going to take that chance, you know, because I don't know, I just had a feeling like I don't want to lose stuff. So I don't know, that's my experience. It wasn't bad overall though.
And I was just going to add real quick, probably that's something that I had in my time. My contemporaries did it. There was a lot of the fear around it was exactly what you're talking about, of losing themselves, if you will. You know what I mean? And the fear of not being able to connect back to whatever they thought their original self was. But for me, I don't know, a lot of that. I guess for me, I started questioning what my identity is, what identity is, what we identify ourselves as. Because a lot of times I wonder if the identities that we're afraid to lose are based in maybe our traumas and things like this, and basically our image of what we always feel we have been, which in a way is sometimes hard to set down and let go. But I do think we kind of a lot of times are limiting ourselves by what we think our identity is.
Yeah. So you're going to, because if it's a good near death experience, you're going to have to rebuild your electrical body all over again. And that's why it's transformative. So a bad trip is you rebuilt your body wrong. It's more probably akin to say a bad trip is that you freaked out because your electric body wasn't there. And until it comes in, you're feeling exposed and naked. And you're probably feeling exposed and naked because you're surrounded by people that you actually can't trust. You just didn't know that. So most of the time when someone's having a bad trip, what they're really doing is just looking at raw, who are the people in their lives and what's around them. And now that they're fully exposed, they can realize how much danger they're in. That's just my take on what a bad trip is. But that would include yourself, of course, that you see how dangerous you are in your own presence, not because you did the drugs, but because the near death is allowing you to rebuild your ego and you're able to see every part and what your frame looks like. And this isn't a journey for everybody, especially if people are trying to destroy their ego. They're really trying to destroy their ability to write music, Pi. They're trying to destroy their ability to create by eliminating that soul force that's there. So it's still transformative. It's still important. I guess I would argue that I just wish people knew that the next day after you do drugs, you're not there yet. It's going to take a long time. You're a pretty fucking intricately kick-ass electrical dude or dudette. It's going to take a while for you to rebuild all of that flourish again. And so, yeah, you can do mushrooms, but you're going to need 5 days until you, it's going to take a long time. You have to wait for your soul to catch up. And that's just part of the process. That's where I learned that this isn't this is what bummed me out about building dragons at festivals. It's because half my team was zonked out on their experience. Meanwhile, the other people were just there making art, like really. And we would dojo while we would make art. We would talk about stuff. And that I cherish those people. And the ones that were having a spiritual experience, I didn't cherish so much. It's just like, yeah, good for you. I cannot relate to what you're doing. I can't. I need my ego because we're making a dragon. I need this. I need this plasma. It's going into this. So you're either ready for that or you're not. There's no better way. I sound snooty about it, but I just got a lot of I got a lot of juice over here in my water gun. It's important to me. So I'm snooty about it. Thanks.
You, James. That's excellent way to wrap up that. Lori, if you don't have something to add to what was just, then I'm going to move to Deb next. Also, while we're here, I want to encourage. There's a few people that I recognize in the chat that I haven't seen. I just want you to feel encouraged to raise your hand and say hi, perhaps before we end up closing this out. Uh, Deb, I see your hand is
Yes.
raised.
So
Yes.
I just wanted to say my little bit. I guess I'm kind of snooty about it too, because you don't have to do a hallucinogen to have a mystical experience. If you ask God for a mystical experience, you're going to get one. It, you just don't know when it's going to happen. You just um, so I think that there's so many roadmaps. I mean, Teresa of Avila in her mansions, and there's a bunch of John of the Cross. There's a bunch of mystics that just give you a roadmap of how to do this. And you know what's so cool? Teresa of Avila used to levitate when she prayed. The nuns had to hold her down. That's the legend, anyways. I thought that was very cool. So yeah, you don't have to do that if you don't choose to. The last drug I did was in 1988, and it was cocaine. That's the only drug I've ever done. So I thought that was pretty bad. So I just anyway. I think there was one other thing, but I can't remember. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Deb. Lori, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Well, it was something to add to the spiritual experience stuff. When I had a spiritual experience in these rooms where you go into this room and it's dark and it's like your whole cellular DNA changes because this thing occurs. And the thing was so sacred and so unusual. And there was a lot of people that were called out there by this force as spiritual tourists. And I had to question whether I was one of those going for one spiritual experience to another spiritual experience and like just throwing out the experience just to have another high and another seeker. And I really related to the young person that was talking about being a child of the self-help book group support system or something. And I was like, I think I was that kind of mother that was looking for something outside of myself that was all along in me. And I wrote this into the script of, my life to have this experience. And part of the experience was what James is talking about right now is to hold the container and to keep the secret. And could I hold the container and keep the secret and not tell anybody about this altering experience? And it was so altering. I'll just tell you that I had a panic attack for 30 days and 30 nights. And I did not stop. My karma was removed. I don't think I was strong enough at the time to hold what I was able to now know I held, but it's not for the faint of heart. And to be able to hold a container without telling anyone the secret, it's really, really important. So I just wanted to give that as my 2 cents. Thank you.
It is.
Thank you, Lori. I also really liked that share from Spencer. talking about his parents coming from there, especially how it almost seemed like he was saying that their language in those self-help groups made it difficult for him to communicate in this particular circle. And I hope he comes back and we can explore that a little bit further. Um, Mark, you are our next hand. Go ahead. Thanks for raising your hand, and it's good to see you. The floor is yours.
You're muted, Mark.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you for having me in again today. This has been fascinating. So honestly, how we're talking about entheogens and this whole experience to me has been like a ceremony. Energetically, it was coming on before. I remember before even signing on, feeling the experience of trepidation, like how it'd be before I went into a medicine ceremony. And having the blessing of being split open left and right by everybody here from something, which is really beautiful and a real gift. I mean, my own experience with in that, as far as plant medicine goes, it was more like a military experience, being treated like a soldier, like stand up. It was all like, get upright and awake, stand up, it'd be a lot of purging and cleaning out. And it wasn't really that trippy at all, as much as just getting my ass kicked a lot, which was valuable, really valuable. Kind of helped me with courage when I needed it for things I was dealing with. So it was beautiful. The part that I really wanted to say was energetically, even arriving here in this, before even being made aware of it, the frequency of coming and needing for reframing and energy management was already coming in. And then boom, this whole environment pops up. And it's really, really incredible how that has materialized. And would I be allowed to share an image from a picture I drew about this? Would that be okay?
Yeah, try.
Oh, no, I don't need sharing. I don't need
Okay.
sharing. I
Yeah,
can do
go
it
ahead.
myself. Let's turn the phone off here. So I made this book, and it was I wrote the book as a quantum message in the bottle to my past self, of my younger self, what I need to survive in this world and to navigate it. But it also I wrote it to my future self too. So this one image that I drew was about energy management. And if you can see that all right, you can probably pin it. And so the idea of all these places that drain life force and fuel. And I wrote it in simple terms because I wrote it to an audience that could receive it, or at least the questions would have people have their own experience in it. But I see it was just for me, mostly. I'm looking at these things would come up and it would just flow through me, and I'd be obsessively drawing to get all this stuff out. And so that I find fascinating, how there is this weird, I don't know, path that I'm here and it's like no accident. And I find that beautiful and cool. Like, it's just my experience. So I guess that's all I have. Anyways, thank you so much.
You, Mark. I'm going to let that sit and just wash over me. If anyone has anything to share, James, I think you're unmuted. Please go ahead.
I pinned that so some people can see it, but fascinating. What I saw was the fascinating idea of third person language versus first person language, and how both of those are psychically transformative. They're tools. They're ways of gripping at yourself, using language itself, and that's why language is so colossally important in this place and what we do. I could say more, but there's other hands up, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say. So
Great. Okay. Thank you again, Mark. And John Sebastian, good to see you again, man. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm just taking Cameron's advice, and since I haven't said a word but wrote many words, I'm just passing by to say hi. And about the project I wrote to James, Maybe we'll talk to you about it later. It's an idea of multi-authorship on a book, and I'm working on this, and later I'll share more with everyone. But for now, I'm just saying hi.
Hi, Sebastian. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate that. Joseph, good to see you, sir. Thank you for turning the video on and raising your hand. I feel like you're new to me. Maybe you're not new to others in the group, but it's good to see you. Go ahead. Welcome to Dojo.
Oh, thanks, Cameron. I appreciate you prompting me and others to introduce ourselves and just say hi to the folks. So hi everybody. Good to see y'all. Haven't been on any airships or anything like that for a while. Schedule's been kind of crazy, so just keeping all my schedules juggled. It's been a job, but I did want to say one thing. In light of you all, what I caught, anyways. I come in a little bit late, but I caught some good parts. Is that when I was young, I looked for ways to consistently shoot myself in the foot, and hamper myself and drain energy. Sort of like that picture right there that the gentleman just shared, and I'm surprised I'm even here right now. So, all the things that I put myself through in life, it's been incredible journey to even make it this far, and to even be sitting here in my house and having a sitting on the couch with my little dog. I mean, to me, it's an amazing. It's been an amazing journey, and you know, I don't know. I guess I'm one of those people that needed it harder. I needed to hamper myself around every corner so that I could because maybe it wasn't challenging enough for me. Um, and I needed to find a way to make it a little more challenging. It seemed too simplistic for me at points. So, but I'm glad to be here. Appreciate all you folks, what you shared, what I've seen you share today. Thank you, James. Thank you for making this happen. Appreciate you, man. All right. Peace out.
Peace out, Joseph. Thanks for checking in, and I'll be putting your face to the next Joseph who shows up in here if they're not on video, and I appreciate the context. Um, Mark, I just want to I didn't say this before, but really it's really wonderful to have you in the fold for this meeting and the last one you attended, and I really encourages me. It makes me feel like I'm in the right place. Also, that just to see the artistic spirit around the creative spirit in this group. If you would not mind, I would love if you would post that picture in the in the Patreon James True Live chat section. That would be great. You as well, John. Also, I did notice your article today, and I'm currently in the middle of reading it, and I'm
Yeah, please
Can I
do
say
that, guys.
something really fast, really, really fast?
yes.
When Cameron just said I'm at the good place at the good time, it was 2:22 o'clock at my house, and that's my number. Every time I see it, I always say to myself, I'm at the good place at the good time. So that's quite the sync today. Just made my day, man. Thanks.
I gotta talk to you about 22 sometime, John. I'll talk to you
Oh,
about
I really dig
not
this.
today, but I will talk to you about 22. Okay, cool.
Oh, we're gonna have a blast for sure. It's gonna be great.
So, in addition to the serendipity, Jean Sebastian, you wrote me personally, but I have not had time to read it, and I'm asking you to put that in the patron chat. And Mark, I would love to see if this is a book that you can share, man. I know people would love to see that there too. We have a lot of communication happening in the chat that I just want to encourage you guys to connect through that way.
I'd be happy to put an EPUB into
Great.
the Patreon. I've just been lurking, so I was, I got buy-in.
Well, great. I look forward to it. All of you, a lot of you are making content. I love seeing it in the chat. Seriously, it's keep it up. It's a wonderful place to go every morning. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yesenia, thank you for raising your hand again. I'm going to say that you're going to do the honors for us and have the floor and close us out on this wonderful Friday, the April 11th. Thank you again, and the floor is yours.
I just have one final question. So with this question, I'll pass the baton to James. Because my favorite slide is when you use the electromagnetic spectrum in terms of like mythology and reality. So do you feel like we can like how do you feel with the visibility? Because science tells us that we can only see in that green middle area. I don't know if anyone has seen that. Do you feel like we can see beyond that? And it kind of ties into the whole, taking psychedelics, I guess, subject in terms of what do we really render, and also what you've mentioned before with the polyvagal theory, where we choose what we want to render. So can we see beyond? Can we see like other waves of light in the electromagnetic spectrum? Can we believe that? And
Yeah,
that's all I have to ask.
I think we already do. It's a great question. And it could be that all we lack is the language for it. You guys know what Pantone is, right? Pantone colors? Pantone 3405. Anyone know that one? Oh, it's one of my favorites. It's a marmalade red. And what about Pantone 2762? Oh, am I right? It's like this rich purple. See, if you're a graphic designer, by the way, I don't know my colors as well, but when I was a graphic designer, you knew these colors. You would get paid more commas in your paycheck because you understood the difference between Pantone 54050 and Pantone 54020. That these send very different messages. And I think that right now we're learning the seven shades of purple. There's pinkle, purple, peak, punk, punk, pock, and pucolo. These are all the shades of between pink and purple, but we do not have the language unlocked to see this. And I think that one of the reasons why we've kept to a simple 17 or 7 based rainbow that used to be 5 based rainbow, that used to be 2 color based rainbow, is that when we get up to 12, maybe then we're seeing auras. Maybe then we're broadcasting on the spectrum, the rainbow all around us. So we do see them. I think maybe this is my theory. We do see them, but we lack the language so far in order to make room for them in our mind. This is why the tetrachromomorphs, the people that have four rods instead of three. They're all the same rods. What's happening though is that there's an opsin detection that has a higher resolution. And so some of those rods can be used as electrical sight because the resolution is higher, which just pulls it back to consciousness. You have an aperture that has a diameter, and the not only does that diameter grow, but so too does the resolution grow, in which we then start to map these things on the screen. Orange is a new color. Blue is a new color. Purple is a new color. These are, these all fit because one, orange is very close to red, which means we've gained resolution. We can now distinguish red from something a little bit different than red. That's why orange is different. Blue is the same thing. So is purple. So we're watching the colors expand over time. We've talked about grew and the history of blue blue grew from grew. It grew out of that word. And even right now, we're arguing over violet and purple. This is a new debate. I swear, this is a new debate. And each of you have a concept now of the difference between purple and violet. You have a different, you see it too. But there was a time when this was not. So we're watching the resolution change, but because the plant's growing so slow, it's taking a while for us to see the resolution or to realize that it's growing so fast.
Thank you, James. Go ahead, Renee.
I just want to bring in Where the Red Fern Grows. It was a story that destroyed me as a child. Beautiful, beautiful deep well with red. The Green Fairy with absinthe, I think that's a fun connection. That's is very French in its revolution. And there's a lot more colors coming in, but my mom's name was Violet. So I'm here to tell you, I know what Violet looks like. So that's what I got. Thank you so much. Everyone, Cameron, send this out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for attending Dojo number 217. Really appreciate everyone coming and investing their witness in this powerful session.
One for the books. One for the books. Really well done. Beautiful.
James, do we need to take any pictures or anything? Or do we just go ahead and...
Nope. We'll just
All right, well, if everyone will unmute.
Just wave
Hi.
natural. Everyone wave naturally.
act natural. Everyone act natural. The machine's not watching. Don't worry. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a happy weekend.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.